Me and Will Compton have low-key beef with each other. I don't know if you know that.
I don't think I've seen that one.
No. So a couple years ago, Will Compton and I got into some Twitter beef back in 2020 during the COVID season. And Will Compton, the Ravens played the Titans. Will Compton wasn't playing anymore. Or he was like not with the team or whatever. He was on special teams throughout the year, got cut. Something happened with him where he didn't play. And he came out and basically said the Ravens were a classless piece of shit organization, like basically came after Ravens fans and the Ravens, because the Ravens and the Titans had a really big rivalry at the time. And I tweeted to Will Compton and I said, that's funny coming from a special teams guy and a guy who just got cut or on the practice squad. I think he was on the practice squad. So that's funny. Imagine talking to somebody. Imagine talking about the team when you're on the practice squad. I think it was something along those lines. I'll try and find the tweets. And he pooted on me.
Know that I'm him. Got the defense overwhelmed. They know highlights of them. Know that I'm him. Don't believe me, check the film. Ay, any quarter and any fill. Ay, yeah, I'm Hall of Fame for real. They know that I'm him. While it is time in the gym, shots don't never touch the rim. Know that I'm him. Got the defense overwhelmed. They know highlights of them. Know that I'm him. Don't believe me, check the film, ayy. Any quarter and any fill, ayy. Yeah, I'm Hall of Fame for real. They know that I'm him. It's Timothy. Ay. Opponents might call me Himothy, aka Mr. Go switch up your energy. I join the team and increase all the chemistry. Wait, the odds playing baseball, I make them head home. I get the football, I'm in the red zone. I'm really him and I'm making it clear, bro. Thinking I'm not RIP cause you dead wrong. Wait, I got some options. I feel like a dual threat QB out of college. The way I be jumping in and out these pockets and they just be spying.
Welcome back to the I'm Him Sports Podcast. My name is Matthew King, and alongside me is Jake Morris. We just completed week 18 of the NFL season, and your team is now officially in draft mode. We will talk about that here momentarily. But before we get started, I wanted to talk about this one person who came up on my Twitter feed, and I think it came up on a lot of different people's Twitter feed. His name is Noah. I'm going to pull up his name here now, but there is a person that I want to FaceTime to be able to see if we can even say his name. So I have a friend named Justin, who I'm going to pull up now. But I'll let you guys read the tweet and see if you guys can see the name. Yo.
Matt?
What's up, Justin?
What's up, my guy? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, brother. I'm doing well.
All right. So I sent you a tweet earlier. So I had a question because you're one of my boys, and obviously with the name, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. So my question is, as you know, as a black person and I'm white, am I allowed to say that name?
You have to be able to say the guy's name. I mean, so do they have like an official pronunciation for it?
Yeah, it's like it starts with a K and then you say it.
So you're supposed to say Knigga.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So I don't see why you wouldn't be able to say his name. It's Knigga.
So if everybody could hear that, that means that we can officially say his name is Noah Knigga. So basically, if you were an announcer, a white announcer, would you just assume that you cannot say that name at this point? Or would you just call him out by Noah?
Okay, sidebar, I saw this tweet because like Noah's dad was like the first person who like I saw his name. But somebody said like I know That's hilarious. But yeah, dude, I feel like announcers should be able to say the name. I feel like everybody should. I mean, it would be one thing if his last name was the word without the K, but like the K is there. It's almost like, I don't know. It's like when you. There's no real great comparison for it, obviously. But like the short name for Richard is Dick. Like, they say Dick for football and Dick for meal. And that's like whatever. Like you can, I don't know. Well, I don't take any offense to it, but I don't know if other people would.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a video. I'll pull it up now. I saw a video of somebody saying that it's going to put announcers in hell.
College football names are the funniest thing in sports, point blank, period. There's been Key and Peele skits about them. Everybody knows how crazy they get. This season alone, there was 2 players named Kool-Aid McKinstry and Dakotas Crawford. But there is a high school kid right now out of Indiana who's about to change the game. His name is Noah Knigga. Noah Knigga. This tweet just went viral because he announced he was taking a visit to West Virginia. West Virginia is a Power 5 school, which means you could realistically have ESPN commentators having to say this motherfucker's name. Just imagine Chris Fowler, like, tipped at the line, intercepted by Knigga. He's in the clear to the 10. Knigga in the end zone. Bro, like, people don't know. He is going to have the sports media industry in shambles, brother. And since this has gone viral, there's been a bunch of people coming out and saying, like, oh my God, that's awful. If I had that last name, I would have to go get it legally changed. That's horrible. Brother, he is possibly going to school in Morgantown, West Virginia. He is going to break every single jersey sale record that school has. Hell no, I'm not changing shit. Hell no. There's pride in that nigga name.
For the next 10 years. And he said that he was going to go to a Power 5 school as well. Somebody's going to forget to say the K, and it's going to be a problem. And
I mean, who even came up with Knigga? Like, where did that come from?
would you, if you were white, would you change your last name?
Definitely probably would have changed it from the letter K out of all the letters. Then it's like I don't know. I'll be interested to see where the history of that came from.
For real. Also, so Jake's here, and you know he's a Commanders fan, and so are you. So also, I wanted to rub in your face that you talked a lot of shit about Lamar Jackson. So me and Justin, for context, we used to work together at Verizon, and Justin used to talk a lot of shit about Lamar. So I'm gonna rub in your face that he's about to be a 2-time MVP. But with the Commanders, what do you think they're gonna do with that second pick?
First, I'm not going to just allow you to just brush straight over that like that without saying anything. I've said it, and I'll stand on it repeatedly, and I believe in this. Lamar Jackson, when it's all said and done, he is going to be one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks.
Oh, right. So you had to slip that in.
He's going to be one of the greatest regular. Just the way he can control games during the regular season is amazing. We'll be like, man, he better win. Okay. AFC Championship is the bottom, but who like can beat Lamar and it's okay? Which team are you okay with losing to in the AFC Championship where it's like you guys get a pass?
Buffalo. I think Buffalo.
Okay. Respect.
But if they go out and lose to like Joe Flacco or CJ Stroud, like there needs to be a huge conversation.
Big problem. Well, we'll see. I guess.
But we're not talking about that. I want to talk about your number 2 overall Commanders.
Yeah. I mean, we suck. But give me the Lions offensive coordinator and head coach. Keep EB. Assuming we don't have to trade down to 1, take Caleb. Use the rest of the 9 picks to build 4 of those should go to the offensive line. 2 of them should be linebackers. 2 of them should be DBs. And then, bro, you just got to hit on the quarterback. That's the way the game is. Like, keep freaking getting quarterbacks until one of them is great. You're never going to have the perfect offensive line with the perfect run game, with the perfect receiving core, with the perfect DBs, with the perfect D-line. Like, you need to have somebody special at quarterback. So, Sam Howell's not the guy. Let's take Caleb and just see what we can do.
What about McDaniels?
Before we take McDaniels, I'd rather take Drake May.
That one's the one I haven't been hugely impressed with.
He has a huge pocket presence. Like, he's built like freaking Justin Herbert. He stands up tall in the pocket. He can make the throws, which doesn't always translate. But I mean, you gotta try. And I actually like MPJ too, Penix too. Before I just think Penix just has an eye for the deep ball for real. So we said that too.
Caleb,
I think the other ones will all flutter out. I think Caleb's the one that's gonna actually be okay.
Yeah, we've actually on this show we've actually shit on Caleb Williams and been huge on Michael Penix. But I appreciate the call, and I appreciate talking to you and let me and Jake get the pass there so we can say his name. But appreciate talking to you.
I know a Knigga.
Fair. All right, bro.
Appreciate
I'll talk to you later.
All right.
All right, see ya. I just thought it was really fun, dude. The amount of memes, the amount of like TikToks I've seen. So if you were an announcer, would you, even if somebody told you that, would you still be able to say it?
I don't know. I'm very interested to see how they go about this. Obviously, it's the kid's last name, and like a lot of these announcers do not call the kids by their first name. It's like I saw a tweet today. It was like, can't remember who the announcer was, but like imagine Gus Johnson. This kid's a defensive player. Like gets a pick and he starts running to the house. Like Knigga at the 10, Knigga at the 5, Knigga touchdown. Like I don't know how they're going to go about it. And the fact that he got offered by West Virginia, so
The absolute best place for a last name like that.
TikTok you sent me.
That's the video I pulled up that I'm going to pull up earlier. But what did he say? He said something like those jerseys are going to sell out within minutes.
Highest selling jerseys in West Virginia University history.
And I also want to clear up, moving on from that, I also want to clear up. So we had a comment on our Instagram. So we put out a reel about Sean Payton, about how I was talking shit about Sean Payton, and there was this one guy who said when you leave your mom's basement, and then he said he was going to find us and he was going to do some mean stuff to us. So I just want to, I know you don't check out the comments as much. I just get a lot of notifications about them. I just want to let you know that if you ever hear a knock at our door, his name is Iron Will. So shout out to Iron Will. But to come on to, so learning that we're doing this and we're getting a little bit more attention on social media, just a little bit on some of them, like this one got 90,000, which is pretty good for us. I just want to let you know that we might have some guy named Iron Will come and knock at our door.
Can we check out his profile real quick? Or
Yeah,
should we not even give him the clout for that?
I don't even know if his account's private. But look at this Nirvana photo.
Yep, 237 followers.
He looks like a
winner. He looks like a winner.
Yeah, he looks like
sure.
somebody won on my team. Maybe we should bring him on sometime. He's got them ear piercings on. That dude is locked in.
Can't really tell from the picture. He definitely looks like he's a short king for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's definitely my height, and he probably has the. I get there sometimes. Like I see tall people, like when I'm out, like talk shit, and I get a little bit pissed off because I'm like, damn, bro, who the hell gets born in the 6'6" while I get born into like 5'8"? So, and you can't talk shit because you're like 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah. No, I don't know. Like I said, that's the reason I don't read those comments, because I don't want to give them the time of day. And it's just guys, I just don't, people just hate their lives or something.
Dude, it's bad.
They just want to spew hate out on everyone else. So
yeah, and for all the questions about our mom's basement, this is our house. We are in a townhome near Baltimore. It's not great, but the basement's very nice. So, I feel like it's a compliment because he's saying basically this is your mom's basement. Like usually when people say that, and they usually mean like, oh, it's really nice. Like it's obviously not yours. So like I'm going to take it as a compliment, honestly. And then the last thing before we get into week 18 that I want to talk about, this is a little bit more NFL related, but Rodgers realm. I'm going to pull up this video because I am super impressed with Rodgers realm. I showed Jake the video the other day. And I was just super impressed at this guy being able to imitate Rodgers. So I'm going to pull that up now.
Good 18. Good 18. Hold on. Hey, can. Hold on. Blue 58. Blue 58. Pen back. Blue 58. Blue 58. Hold on. Green 18. Green 18. Green 18. Green 18. Oh. Out of that. Green 18. Green 18.
And Jake, my question for you is, can you imitate that exact same thing?
I don't think so. When you showed me that video, I was kind of blown away at how like accurate it is.
I think I can do it.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a try.
All right,
I
cool.
think I can do it. All right, ready?
Yep. Let's see what you got.
Green 18!
Close? Or is it green 19?
I think it's 18. But towards the end, I heard it. The initial one, not there. But like towards the end, you gotta get some more bass.
He gets in there, taps the book. Green 18! It's closer.
Not bad.
It's
Not
getting
bad.
there.
Not
It's in
bad.
there, but I was super impressed with him. So I just wanted to shout him out on here just because. And Rodgers has gone through a lot, and for him to keep posting videos of Aaron Rodgers is super bold. Aaron Rodgers had a lot of things going on in his life with Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel, and there was a lot of scrutiny going on with the Pat McAfee show, with Aaron Rodgers, and with Jimmy Kimmel. Everybody is picking one side or another. That's how this country runs: is you're on one side or the other. What were your thoughts on the Aaron Rodgers debacle with Jimmy Kimmel?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm just tired of hearing about political stuff when we're trying to talk about football. Like. He comes on the Pat McAfee show every Tuesday. They call it Aaron Rodgers Tuesday.
Say that. You can't say that.
Can't what? Can't say what?
You can't say that. You just want to talk about sports. Just dribble and whatever.
Yeah, but no, that's I'm not saying that they shouldn't be allowed to speak on. I'm just tired personally of hearing about it.
Fair.
Like I tune into the Pat McAfee show to have like watch the boys like chit chat and whatnot, and I just feel like. I mean, like Pat McAfee is quite the journalist because he's able to pull this information out of him and get the clicks and everything. Of course, it also seems like it's starting to become a negative for Pat McAfee show as well. Right. They're having that feud with one of the ESPN like directors or whatever.
Yeah, that was bold for Pat McAfee to come out and to actually say that on his show.
Yeah. Well, that's I mean he's gained so much popularity now. He could probably go back just to YouTube. Of course, I mean they had quite the deal that they signed with ESPN, but. He'll be fine regardless, so he's able to stand on whatever he wants to. But I'm just tired of hearing non-related, I guess, football drama when it comes, especially with something like this. Like everyone knows about Epstein and the list and everything, and what's about to come out. It's like we're not actually going to know who's on that list,
right?
If I'm going to be honest, like we'll never actually get the real list of who the people are on there. At least the high list, A-list celebrities. I don't feel like we'll ever see that. And if it does come out, like it's just not going to be anything that actually happens. So for him to even like make comments about it was just I don't even know why he started the beef with him. Like why?
Yeah. So apparently, for context, Jimmy Kimmel went onto his show last year or during COVID when I guess it was last year because Aaron Rodgers started going on the Pat McAfee show last year. Aaron Rodgers said that the Epstein list was a real thing and it's going to come out, and COVID or something or UFOs or whatever was trying to basically hide the Epstein list from coming out so people didn't know it was actually coming out. And Aaron Rodgers came back basically and said this past week or last week, he said that the Jimmy Kimmel is going to basically be on the list. And then he comes back and says today that that's not what he was saying. He was saying he was coming at Jimmy Kimmel because of his comments last year. I just find it funny, first of all, that Aaron Rodgers thinks that he's the smartest person in the room all the time. He's not. And I also think that's funny that Jimmy Kimmel thinks that it's wrong for Aaron Rodgers to do that when Jimmy Kimmel does that every single night. It feels like he comes after somebody else. So
I don't like Jimmy Kimmel as it is. Like
no. And I hate defending him in this situation.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't hate that Aaron Rodgers is coming for him, but the drama is just like it's not entertaining to me. It's not like anything I'm really like bought into. So I'm just kind of tired of hearing about it, to be honest. So
yeah, I'm really tired of it. But and what's even funnier is that Rodgers went to the podium yesterday for the Jets' final press conference of the year and said, we need to get rid of all the BS in anything that doesn't have to do with winning. But yet he's going on to the Pat McAfee show and pulling up this crazy. And I don't even think Pat McAfee even likes it when Aaron Rodgers does it. But he's part of the problem too, because he lets him like go on these rants. There's no way they don't have external conversations saying like, hey, like, can we cut it out with this stuff? Like, I'm paying you to come on here.
Bit, yeah. I don't get it. Like I said, it's putting them through some trouble as well. I feel like at the Pat McAfee show, and he came out and I mean, he's like I said, we both talked about it. He stood on it and he was like, we're going to do kind of what we want. This is what you guys knew what you were like signing us for. Like, this is who we are. We're not going to change who we are. So, but I don't know. I'm just, I'm not honestly like at this point, I'm not interested in watching on Tuesdays anymore because I just Aaron Rodgers, hell of a football player, but kind of tired of hearing him talk about stuff non-related to football.
Yeah, I agree. And the only good time that Aaron Rodgers was on there was when he announced a trade, I guess, to the Jets. That was like the coolest thing he's ever done on there. But moving on from that, the college football national championship happened last night, and it was probably exactly what a lot of people thought. Michigan came out and dominated. I thought maybe it would be a little bit closer. I thought maybe Penix and the Washington offense would not be held to only, 13 points yesterday. So I don't know. I great for Jim Harbaugh. I was, if I was an NFL GM or an NFL owner, like he would be number one on my list. He proved last night that like he is ready for the NFL stage.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with that game, and to be honest, like Michigan. If you look at the score and everything, like it does seem like Michigan dominated, but Washington kind of hung in there for a little bit. They couldn't stop the run, which we kind of expected to happen. Like we knew that the thing that surprised me the most is, like you said, that offense only being held to 13 points.
Yeah.
But of course, like if you guys watched the end of that game, Michael Penix was fighting for his life. Like
he was hurt.
I don't know if it came out, like, but it seemed like he broke some of his ribs. Like he was. Yeah. He was a warrior at the end of that game, but obviously they came out on the losing side. Michigan pretty much dominated that game towards the end. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where like he reached that peak now. He won the national championship. I did see though he did an interview with Scott Van Pelt afterwards, and he was already talking about fall practice or spring practice and all this other stuff and how he's getting it set up.
Yeah,
so,
I feel like that was.
Yeah, I think that might have been strategic at a point because I doubt he knows what he wants to do. Like you just won a national championship. Like
right.
He's going to take his time, and as you can expect, like he's probably going to be one of the most targeted like head coaching. So someone for a head coach like coming up this next season. So
right. Yeah, I agree totally. I just can't believe that Michael Penix played like he did. Like it looked like he was lost, confused. We came on here last week and said that he is the most NFL-ready quarterback. Playing an NFL-ready defense, essentially, on Michigan, I don't know. My thoughts don't change on Michael Penix. I see a lot of people saying like, oh, we see what he really is. Like, I think the talent is there though. Like that, you watch him in any other game this season, like he was phenomenal. I think this just shows how great of a coach Jim Harbaugh is and how great of a team Michigan was. I mean, that is probably one of the best college defenses that them and Alabama were the two best defenses all year long. And Michigan might have had the best defense in the past like 3 or 4 years in college football. So I was just super impressed with Michigan. I wasn't really.
And for JJ McCarthy to only complete 10 passes and they win 34 to 13.
Where's the hype coming from with him?
I don't know. Jim Harbaugh came out and said he's the best Michigan quarterback to ever play there. Like I don't see it, but
yeah, I mean that just tells you like he might be. Like there is Tom Brady, but I guess those two were on the same level if you think about it, because Tom wasn't great at Michigan either. Yeah. There hasn't been great quarterbacks other than Tom Brady that have wowed us in college football. So I don't know. What do you think about Penix though? Did your mind change about what you said last week? You said that he was the overall best quarterback in the draft.
I don't think so. I mean, like you said, he's consistently like throughout these past like last year and a half, like he's been one of the best talents we've seen in college football. I think it just more than anything that last night, like it just credits to Michigan's defense and just how well of a team that like overall how good of a team they actually are. Michael Penix, like I said, he was getting beaten up. Like he did miss some throws, and I don't know, like there was one on the 4th down where they could have had like a go ahead, like a open touchdown, and the wide receiver came out and said it was his fault. Seemed like it was a little bit of an overthrow, but he just seemed like Michigan got to him, and that defensive line is something, and Michael Penix's offensive line did not do any favors for him. So
yeah, and they were considered one of the best offensive line units in the country.
Yeah.
So I think it was a little bit of on the head coach. I don't think that they came out prepared. I think that they ultimately, after that first big touchdown by Donovan Edwards, you could tell from Washington they were defeated already. Yeah. So they were down the entire game. I just feel like if you put Penix in a good situation, like I think he's going to be fine. Yeah. And I have no doubt he's going to be a special quarterback in the NFL. And it just bothers me that so many people are off Michael Penix already. When he took this team to a national championship with the defense that he had. If maybe he had a better defense in general and got more opportunities with the ball to figure it out and keep it a close game, you never know what could have happened. But when you get behind early and you're playing from behind the entire game, like it's hard to come back from that. And there's a whole bunch that goes into it other than him missing some throws throughout the game against the best defense in the country. So Jim Harbaugh, we already talked about a little bit, him probably going to the NFL. Is there anywhere where you think that maybe his best landing spot is?
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I guess I'd love him to come to the Commanders. I would love that, but yeah. I feel like almost like the Chargers fit him a little bit better. I don't know if he's like an LA guy sort of guy though.
I don't know. Yeah, he might be. But I think the situation in LA is the best. So I don't know if that would matter.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting because I feel like it's going to be him, like Ben Johnson, Raheem Morris, like those. He's going to be in the probably top 5 like most desired like head coaches to come in and if he decides to make the jump and come back to the NFL. So
right. I wonder if he's even going to make that jump. Last night did make me question if he will, but I think with the Big Ten doing their investigation and him just winning a national championship, there's nothing else he can accomplish. I think McCarthy is going to the NFL in the NFL draft this upcoming year anyway. Yeah. So I don't think he's going to want to basically, because Michigan's not going to be ready for a national championship next year. He's basically going to have to build it up again. And I don't know if he wants to do that or come into an NFL situation where they're ready now. I think one of the most intriguing teams to me, and it was right after some news today about Mike Vrabel, was the Tennessee Titans. I honestly think that might be Jim Harbaugh's best destination because they have a young quarterback in Will Levis. They also have a decent defense. They have key defenders on that team. They've lost a lot. They have a lot of cap space. They have a high draft pick, and they're on the East Coast, which I thought Washington would be a good fit because of that as well. And I think because John is on the East Coast and having Jim on the East Coast as well and having the family close and not far away, I think that might be a factor into it as well. But I thought Tennessee was an interesting, I think it's going to be one of the most sought out jobs in the NFL is the Tennessee Titans just because of all the cap space that they have, the rookie quarterback, and all the talent that they have that can go into next year on a high note.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess I could see that. It's them. I guess we're gonna moving into it now, but them firing Mike Vrabel, like that was not something that I think anyone expected. So I mean, I guess yeah, but I feel like that offense, like it's basically like you just said though, like Jim Harbaugh is not really someone that wants to come in and like I guess build almost. But I mean, I feel like every head coaching job that's vacant now is like it's a team that needs rebuilding. So
exactly,
I think probably the Tennessee Titans are the most ready to be built. Like, I don't know if Will Levis will work out. Like he had some he shined in some spots and like obviously didn't do well in others. But it's Derrick Henry. He might not be coming back. Like, but it could be it's like or Jim Harbaugh just won a national championship with a run first offense. If you get Derrick Henry back, like that's their go-to. Like they're a pound the football sort of team. So it kind of fits his MO already. So
yeah, I don't think that Derrick Henry's probably going to go back to the Titans. I don't know if you saw it or not. Did you see his announcement basically after the game?
Yeah.
I don't think somebody would do that and go back to that same organization. I honestly think Derrick Henry wants to win a Super Bowl. But like we just talked about, Mike Vrabel was fired today. And that was the most surprising news that we'll probably get the entire offseason. I cannot believe that they let go of this head coach who was a coach of the year a couple of years ago, who has taken Ryan Tannehill from a bottom-tier quarterback and backup at one point to a top 10 quarterback at one point in a lot of people's minds and to an AFC championship game and completely changed what the Tennessee Titans were about. I just don't know what the Titans are going to. And, having a guy that comes in and says that he would cut his nuts off to win a Super Bowl, I just don't think you're going to find that gritty guy again. Even Jim Harbaugh. You just can't find it.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't understand it. I mean, playoffs 4 out of 6 years he was there. Coach of the year one year. I mean, let him. I don't know if it was definitely they had the number 1 seed at one point.
Yeah, they actually got the number 1 seed in 2021.
Yeah,
but they lost to the Bengals in the first round.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're expecting. I don't know if they're just looking for a spark. But like, I haven't paid attention to the Titans really because honestly they have stunk this year, and it's a lot of it I feel like was quarterback play and like them just trying to figure things out, but. And you say they have a good defense. I guess a lot of their games, like they're not giving up a lot of points. They're just struggling to score some points. So I guess maybe they're looking maybe for because Mike Vrabel is like he's a defensive sort of guy. So if they're like, all right, we already have a solid defense, maybe they're looking for an offensive minded head coach to maybe work with Will Levis because maybe they do see something in him and they want to develop him and then just build that offense around him. And like you said, they already have a solid defense. So maybe they think that they, with a few extra pieces, they are a win now team. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see who comes in or who they're thinking because they got to have someone else in mind if they're gonna like outright fire Mike Vrabel out of nowhere.
Right. And the owner came out today and actually had a conversation with one of the media people for the Tennessee Titans and said that because he asked her, why didn't you try and trade Mike Vrabel instead of cutting ties? Because there would probably be suitors out there for probably a first-round pick for Vrabel. I mean, if Sean Payton went for a first-round pick, I think Vrabel is a good enough head coach to at least pull a first or a second-round pick. And came out and basically said that, well, we want to start our hiring process early because we didn't want to be in the back of the group picking from the last head coaches because it probably takes a couple weeks to get a trade going. So that told me like they love somebody and they have an idea in mind. And that's why I thought maybe Jim Harbaugh might be the person. But there's a lot of great candidates this year, and Mike Vrabel is going to be at the top of the list for all of these teams. And to have a guy, if you watch the Taylor Lewan and the Will Compton podcast, Bussin' with the Boys, I mean, even though me and Will Compton have low-key beef with each other, I don't know if you know that.
I don't think I've seen that one.
No. So a couple years ago, Will Compton and I got into some Twitter beef back in 2020 during the COVID season. And Will Compton, the Ravens played the Titans. Will Compton wasn't playing anymore. Or he was like not with the team or whatever. He was on special teams throughout the year, got cut. Something happened with him where he didn't play. And he came out and basically said the Ravens were a classless piece of shit organization, like basically came after Ravens fans and the Ravens because the Ravens and the Titans had a really big rivalry at the time. And I tweeted to Will Compton and I said, that's funny coming from a special teams guy and a guy who just got cut or on the practice squad. I think he was on the practice squad. So that's funny. Imagine talking to somebody. Imagine talking about the team when you're on the practice squad. I think it was something along those lines. I'll try and find the tweets. And he pooted on me. So I don't know if you know that, but basically what he did was he got all of his Titans, like all the Titans fans, all the Bussin' with the Boys fans, he got them riled up on me. I got DMs saying like, go kill yourself. Like you're a piece of shit. Like you're an awful human. And then he basically took my tweet, took a video of himself and pooted into the camera.
Hang on.
Yeah, so me and then he went on the podcast the next week and mentioned me on his podcast, and he said, yeah, some kid said, imagine if you were on the, bro, I'm in the NFL, like, where are you? You're sitting on your couch watching, and I'm like, well, you're kind of sitting on your couch watching every week too, so I don't know what the difference is between us, but yeah, so I have some beef with Will Compton, but anyway, those guys talk about how great Mike Vrabel is, so, I mean, he's a player's head coach, great head coach at that, turned around the organization from being nobody. Everybody seemed to know about the Titans after he came. But I guess maybe, so what I'm thinking is maybe Bill Belichick's going to move on and Mike Vrabel's going to step in. Maybe that conversation was had too.
Yeah, no, that's I've seen a lot of Twitter sphere out in the Twitter sphere of that's where what things are leaning towards right now is I feel like Mike Vrabel would come in and he'd just be basically a younger Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
I mean, came from Bill Belichick, like his tree or whatever. So They said a lot of similarities. Do they want to go with something like that though? Like I feel like the Patriots are looking for a kind of a new situation, like a new coach, like new predicament pretty much. But I think that honestly, if I were to say the best fit for him right now, that would be Mike Vrabel's best fit is the New England Patriots.
Yeah, and I think somebody had a report that said Mike Vrabel said that he would be open to going back to New England, and that is the only place he go back to. So I could see that situation happening. I don't know. Robert Kraft would be – I don't even know if Bill Belichick's going to move on. I feel like it would have happened by now. But it's also, the second day since firings have happened. It might take a couple weeks. But I don't know, because why would they not do it now so Bill Belichick can maybe have some time to weigh his options? Maybe they are doing it. I don't know how they'll do it, though. Do you think maybe it'll be a mutual parting, a trade? Like, what do you think happens in that situation?
I think at the least, it's definitely going to be at the least a mutual parting. Like, a guy like that, like, you don't come out and you say you fire him or anything like that. Like, there's going to – and apparently, like, him and Robert Kraft have been talking, like, mid-season on, or maybe even earlier than that, like, on what they're feeling, like, what they're going to be at an understanding of where the team wants to go, and whether that's with Bill or without Bill. Like, I think they kind of already have it figured out, and right now they're in the final stages of, well, are we going to keep riding with Bill, or do we think it's time that we split ways and wish him well and send him on and see if he can do well in another team? But I don't think. I just feel like Bill Belichick eats, lives, and sleeps football. So, like, I don't see him stepping away from the game. So I think he's definitely going to go be a head coach somewhere else. But I don't know. I feel like we've talked about it a lot. I feel like over the season we just don't know if his sort of coaching is able to survive in this type of league anymore.
Yeah, potentially. I think one of the best landing spots for Bill, which would surprise you, I don't know if it would make you happy or not, but I put the Commanders. So for a lot of people that don't know Bill Belichick's history or watched any of his documentary that he had that thing with Nick Saban that was really cool. He's from Annapolis, so he's from Maryland, and the Commanders are technically in Maryland. So honestly, the Commanders are looking for a new structure. They're trying to rebuild. Not only that, they have a ton of draft capital, ton of salary cap. And I just feel like they like to build on defense. Like, that has been their MO forever, it felt like, is like that. I almost said Redskins, but the Commanders' defense has been about that, especially the past couple of years with Ron Rivera. They might want to go an offensive route. I feel like a lot of people are overrating the offensive route a little bit and not taking into account the best head coaches in the league are not offensive-minded head coaches, like the ones that have been around the longest, like John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Bill Belichick, like the best of the best. Not talking about the younger guys right now who are great, like Kyle Shanahan and all those guys, but the ones that have been around for years and years and are always at the top are not offensive-minded. So I just hope that these teams don't go in thinking it's an offensive-minded head coach or it's nothing, because it can hurt you later in the situation. But we did have an offensive-minded head coach that we have scrutinized on here forever. Arthur Smith was finally fired. He was fired at midnight. Didn't even get a chance to wait until the next morning, have his coffee. Literally at midnight, the Atlanta Falcons fired head coach Arthur Smith. And not only that, Arthur Blank had a press conference the next day, and he was asked about the Lamar Jackson situation from last season. So Lamar Jackson was a restricted free agent, and he was asked if he regretted not putting in an offer onto Lamar Jackson. And he said that Arthur Smith and company said that Desmond Ridder was the guy. So Atlanta doesn't admit that they regret not getting Lamar Jackson. Not only that, but now they're in a situation where they don't have a quarterback. They have a talented roster. Where maybe do they go with their head coach? They seem like they need an offensive-minded head coach again, but one just failed. So what would you do if you were the Falcons owner looking for that next head coach?
So, I mean, like you just said, though, like there's the defensive-minded head coach seem to still, if they're really good, they seem to still find success in this league. But I think I would agree that they need an offensive-minded coach. I think, I'm gonna be honest, if they actually went out and pursued and got Lamar Jackson, I'm I don't think I'd be surprised if they weren't like a Super Bowl contender this
They'd
year.
probably be.
I think that they are a solid quarterback away from being definitely a playoff team, if not a real force to be reckoned with in the NFC. So I think, I mean, Arthur Smith, like I didn't understand his play calling all year long. First of all, your best talent on the team, like you're not even using him. I don't know what that was about. Like we've talked about
Drake London or Kyle Pitts, like none of those guys.
And it's for them to first of all to come out and say they thought Desmond Ridder was a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. Like that was.
Well, they also basically what they said was that Lamar Jackson was a free agent, but he technically wasn't because the Ravens might have matched the deal, which is true, but why not try? You never know. You can maybe put an offer out there that's almost impossible to match for the Ravens. But not only that, he also said that the Falcons did not have enough cap space, which is a blatant lie. They had over $60 million in cap space. Lamar Jackson wouldn't have even taken maybe half of that. Just because of how deals are structured nowadays, everything is pushed back. You could have made it work. So he blatantly lied saying that Lamar Jackson's cap space would have been an issue at the time, which it hasn't hurt the Ravens at all this season. And he also said that the head coach and the whole entire team felt like Desmond Ridder could do a good enough job to lead them for the season, which is really bold.
Well, we see how that worked out for him.
Yeah, so. It was pretty bad. I don't know what they do though. I guess we keep talking about the Chargers and the Titans being attractive jobs. Atlanta could be in the Super Bowl next. That might be a team that we talk about this upcoming offseason. If they get a quarterback, we're like, they might be like the team to watch out for that takes the next step. They might not be in the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback, but if they go and get the absolute right guy, like a CJ Stroud, like if they had CJ Stroud right now, I would say that they maybe are a Super Bowl contender this season.
No, absolutely. I like I said, if they just find a solid quarterback, I think they are a win now sort of team. Like I think they can make a serious run in the playoffs. Obviously, winning the NFC South, like that would be no question in my opinion. Like I mean, they were just basically trying to give it to each other, just as they did last year. So I think 100%. And the thing I'm hoping, and I'm not even really like a fan of the Falcons or anything like that. Like one of our good friends, he's a huge Falcons fan or whatever, and so I guess I root for him a little bit. But like I just hope they don't do the same shit that the Commanders always did and go out and get a veteran quarterback on the decline. Like I know we've talked about like Russell.
Yeah, that trend has to end.
Yeah, like I know we even talked about it. I think of like Russell Wilson maybe being a good fit for them. I don't see it. I think they're a young team, and I think that they need to bring in a young guy. I don't really know where they sit in the draft right now, and if one of those top 5 quarterbacks will even fall to them. But if they're able to trade, if they
sit at number 8.
At number 8,
yeah.
Oh wow. So I mean, I don't know.
But quarterbacks are going to be taken off the board heavy in the first like 5 picks.
Yeah,
and there's going to be trade ups. So I could see them trade up and get somebody. I could see them as a team that if Chicago's like, hey, we want to keep Justin Fields, like they have to be they have to give up their whole farm to go get. I mean, so there was another report about the Vikings. They have to do what the Vikings almost did last year. So there was an actual report, I forget from who, I will try to find it, but somebody reported that the Vikings were willing to give up their future for the next like 3 years to trade up. They tried to go get Anthony Richardson last season. They tried to give up. Somebody said, I don't know how many first-round picks, but I think it was in the realm of like 3 first-round picks or maybe even 4 to trade up because they were very low because they were a playoff team. Yeah. They were trying to trade up all the way with the Colts to get Anthony Richardson last year. So I think Atlanta might be that team this season that we see them overpay for one of those quarterbacks because it's going to be a premium to get a Drake May, to get Caleb Williams, to get Michael Penix, whoever you want to get. It's going to cost like way more than it was last year.
No, I know it's definitely going to cost a lot, but I honestly, I mean, there was a ton of trades in last year's draft. I could see this draft, at least in the first round, going something similar to that.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of stuff of us, the Commanders, trading up to the number 1 pick to guarantee that we get Caleb Williams. We already know how I kind of feel about that, but I've seen a lot of talk about that. I've seen a lot of talks of the potential of these teams that need a quarterback trading up as far as they can to secure one of these top 3-4 guys or whatever. Because people were saying like people were putting Caleb Williams on a different level, but the rest of these guys are saying like they're that talented and they believe that they'll be solid in the NFL. So I mean, we've already talked extensively about how we don't believe in Caleb Williams and that we think that Drake May, Michael Penix said we'd rather have either one of them, but I think a lot of people are going to be gunning for him, and if not, one of the other guys. So I think it's going to be an interesting draft, and I don't know. But I do. Coming back to it, I think the Falcons are a good quarterback away from being a really, really good football team.
Yeah, I think absolutely this offseason, like they're automatically going to be a team that I want to talk about for the entire offseason and say, like, I'm telling you, Atlanta is going to take that next step, especially if the Buccaneers go out and pay Baker. Listen, Baker's been great. If you go out and pay Baker Mayfield $35 to $40 million a year, you're asking for some shit because that is just going to keep you exactly where you're at. They're all like, oh, he's had a great year. He went 9-8 in the worst division in football. So, like, I mean, he's been great, but like, let's tone it back a little bit. He's not a franchise guy, and that's exactly why he's been bounced around. He found a good situation with a Hall of Fame wide receiver and also Chris Godwin, and they just have a great, talented roster. Like, you could plug in almost, I mean, Tom Brady won a Super Bowl in his first season there. You could plug in somebody and make the playoffs because they were talented outside the quarterback. I don't know, but also, with Arthur Smith, there was a fight with him and Dennis Allen and Jameis Winston. So if you don't know, on the last play of the game in the Atlanta Falcons Saints game, and if you also don't know, they are really big rivals. I didn't know how big of rivals they were. They actually hate each other. Like, they're saying that they're one of the best rivalries and if they were both good right now, like, it would be one of the best rivalries to watch. I never knew that. I never cared about the teams enough to even know about that. But essentially, they were in victory formation, Jameis Winston and the Saints. They were up 41 to like 10 or something.
41-17.
Yeah, 41-17. The game was way out of reach. I think there was 5 seconds left on the clock. And they were in victory formation, and Jameis Winston decided to run the ball with Jamal Williams, who scored 17 touchdowns last season, had 0 touchdowns this season. When Dennis Allen told him not to do it, the offense decided as a group, I guess, to run the play and get him a touchdown. We've talked about this before about running up the score, but the conversation changes when you're in a victory formation. So what did you think? Was Arthur Smith right in this situation about Jameis Winston and Dennis Allen?
I mean, for him, for Arthur Smith to be pissed off, like, I get it for sure. Like, it's especially because it's victory formation. But the way it led up to it was that the Falcons threw an interception, the Saints returned it to the 1 yard line, and then but the thing what Dennis Allen called victory formation, and then there was like you said, Jameis Winston. Well, it was a team decision.
Team meaning the offense.
Yeah. So in the huddle, they were like, "Should we give it to Jamal? Like, give him his only touchdown of the year." And so that's what they ended up doing. I mean, it was already freaking 41-17. Like, what's another 6 points do? Like, don't put yourself in that situation. Like, don't be already getting blown out. Like, so I don't know. It's disrespectful for sure. But honestly, I love Jameis for doing it, and I love that the offense for doing that. Like, it's
if I was the head coach, so Jameis came out and said that. He said that it had nothing to do with Dennis Allen, and he told me not to run anything but the victory formation. So he admitted he went against Dennis Allen. If Dennis Allen is the head coach, I'm not re-signing Jameis. And Shannon Sharp said this, and I agree with him fully. I'm not re-signing Jameis Winston based off of that play. I think my problem with it's victory formation. Like, I understand that you're put in that situation, like. And I'm all for the, like, score until the last minute. Like, this is the NFL. These are professionals. But when you're in victory formation like that and nobody's trying, you could potentially get somebody hurt. Like, nobody is giving a shit on that play. Or at least, like, warn the defense. Like, say, hey, we're going to, like, run this play. Or something along those sorts. Like, I just have a problem with the victory formation side of it, I guess.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Because normally in a football game, like, you announce to the ref that, hey, we're just going to need the ball here, and that the ref lets the defense know, and then they just kind of back off. Like, you see some dickheads that, like, actually, like, try to rush and I guess in a close game, like, who knows, the center to QB, like, exchange could be fucked up. But like you see some defensive linemen actually go hard, but most of the time it's just like they all stand up, so it's like sort of like a respect thing. But as you pointed out at the beginning of this, these teams fucking hate each other.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I think Jameis is a good teammate for doing that, but for being a coachable player, like to
and
go
for
against,
a guy that is in a contract year, I think he only signed a 2-year deal, so I think he's a free agent this upcoming year. So that's bold to basically say, oh, this is my final play of the season. This is the last thing people are going to know about me. And you're going into free agency, and somebody's going to ask, would you do this if you were on my team? And that would be the first thing that I'd ask as a head coach. I'd be like, if I tell you to do something, like, are you actually going to listen to me? Like, it's deeper than just that play, because it's like, I get that he's a good guy, but he's also a guy who's been a kind of a journeyman, like through the NFL, like had really bad years as a starter, like being a likable guy, being a very out of the box character, to say the least. I mean, I don't know. It's somebody who, if I were trying to build a championship team, like, would I want Jameis Winston on my team? No. But I don't know if that would make you feel any different about the player going in and trying to sign him as potentially a veteran quarterback, because backup quarterbacks are a premium now. Like, especially with all of the injuries this season, I think people are going to invest more money into a good backup quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, we know the type of guy that Jameis is. Like, I wasn't surprised to see it, to be honest. Like, he's because of the personality that he has. I understand Arthur Smith's reason for being upset, and like you could hear it in it, like, or you could read Arthur Smith's lips, and he says that's fucking bullshit or something like that. And then Dennis Allen was just like, I know, like that's not what I like.
Yeah, but Dennis Allen should have backed up his guy too.
Yeah, like so. But then like for James to come out and be like, yeah, that was totally on us. Like Dennis Allen told us to kneel the ball. It was victory formation, whatever. So I don't know. I don't really give a fuck, to be honest. Like, I thought it was cool. Like, Jamal Williams went from 17 touchdowns to not having any. Like, they were talking about how he's just busted his ass and they've had to play him at fullback. Like, hasn't been playing running back like he normally does. So honestly, Arthur Smith, get fucked. Like, bye. Like, you're going. Like, this is kind of what you deserved. Yeah, like, you completely mismanaged that offense. I know you had a shitty like quarterback, but I mean,
not starting Taylor Heineke from day one was the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, Taylor Heineke isn't great, but my God, you can see the talent is better, and he's won games in the past. So I don't know where and to not even like warn the Falcons and be like, hey, I need a quarterback. Like, he probably went in and said, I think Desmond Ridder can do it. I dead ass think that he went into the season and said, don't worry about the quarterback. I trust Desmond Ridder. And bad mistake. One of the biggest fumbles of the entire football season happened this past week, and it was the Miami Dolphins. And you know what? I have to give you your flowers about the Buffalo Bills. They win the AFC East, and they beat the Miami Dolphins, who I have said all year are frauds. So we were both right in some sense. The game showed me a lot, not only about the Dolphins' health and their defense. It showed me a lot about Tua Tagovailoa and Josh Allen. So Josh had a lot of turnovers in the game, and I've talked about it a lot. People let Josh Allen get away with the turnovers. Tua played bad. We don't got to go much into that. But Josh has a problem, and it needs to be talked about, because we're just letting him get away with it because we're so used to him doing it all the time.
Yeah, well, I think that's the biggest thing, and it's because he's classified as a gunslinger. I mean, go look at Brett Favre. He had the same problem, but like, you're still going to start Brett Favre every week. You're still going to want him to be the guy that's leading you down the field for a game-winning touchdown. Josh didn't have to do that in this game, but to be honest, like, if you watch the game, like, if they don't have that punt return touchdown, I don't think they win that game. Like, Miami had all the momentum. Like, that punt return by Hardy, like, that was the thing that I think won the Bills that game, to be honest. They were in Miami, divisional game. Like, I knew it was going to be a close one. I still went with the Bills. I said it back a few weeks ago when we were making our picks that if the Bills had beaten the Cowboys, which they did, that they were going to go on to win the division. Honestly, I we'll get into this in a few minutes, but it's Josh Allen has a problem, but he's also the reason. Like, he's the reason they're winning games right now. He's the reason. He's a big reason why they went from 6-6 to winning the division and being the number 2 seed.
Is he though? Because the game against the Dallas Cowboys, he didn't do shit. In most of the games that they won down this stretch, he didn't do shit. So the Patriots game, he was awful in. The Chargers game, he was decent in, but they still kept it close because of his turnover issue. And then the Miami Dolphins were still in this game because of his turnover issue. I understand that Josh Allen scores a lot of touchdowns. All I've heard is that Josh Allen scores a ton of fucking touchdowns. And I understand that. And he ends up winning these games. But when a good team can capitalize and score off of these turnovers, unlike fucking Tua Tagovailoa, who's shit, and Easton Stick, who's shit, and I guess the Cowboys, but the Buffalo Bills ran the ball the entire time, and Josh had no mistakes because the ball was taken out of his hands, and they won handedly. They won more handedly than they have over the course of these 6 weeks against the Dallas Cowboys without Josh Allen doing shit. So I guess that's my problem with Josh Allen. And the MVP talks, I guess we'll get into that too, because somehow Josh Allen has been crowned the fucking MVP of the league for throwing 2 interceptions and fumbling in a game, and now he won the AFC East. He's my MVP. I don't fucking get it because he's part of the issue with the Buffalo Bills. And like you said, they don't win that game without the punt return touchdown.
Yeah, I understand your point, but I guess we'll just hop into MVP talk now. Like it's because of the touchdowns. Yes, I understand he has 20-some turnovers, but he's also came back from, and I guess he might have been the reason that they were 6-6. A big reason for that, but he's also now helped lead his team. And like you're arguing that it wasn't because of him, and I agree to that. But it's also maybe he learned something to take a step back because he knows he's got a good team to be able to win these games. Like you said, they handily won against the Cowboys. Josh Allen didn't do much, didn't have to do much. So I feel like it's most of the reason for these turnovers is because he gets put in a situation where feels like he has to make the plays, and that's when it happens to throws an interception, throws 2 interceptions.
So you just admitted that when he takes a step back, the team performs better. So the team is performing better when Josh takes a step back and doesn't do as much. So the most valuable player to me, if Lamar Jackson takes, even Dak Prescott, if they take a step back from the offense and you let someone else like a James Cook, so for Dak's example, Tony Pollard, or even for Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards, you step back and let them do work, they are not going to win some of these games that they've won down the stretch. And that's just factual. Like if you take Lamar Jackson and you let him take a step back in that Miami Dolphins game, like they don't win the game. And half the games have been won for the Dallas Cowboys because of Dak Prescott. It's not Tony Pollard. It's not the defense because the defense isn't playing well. I just personally think that if you're going to put anybody in the MVP conversation over Lamar Jackson, it's got to be Dak Prescott because he has just been better, in my opinion, than Josh Allen has this season. And I'm just tired of the media letting it go and Buffalo Bills fans letting it go, saying it's not a problem because we just ignore it. We talk about the touchdowns. He has 44 touchdowns, but he has 22 turnovers. And in the playoffs, when you turn the ball over, you're going to lose, and they're going to lose in them. And I'll stand by that right now. The Buffalo Bills are going to lose in the playoffs because Josh Allen's turnover problem. That's what I'll say about that.
I mean, I don't think there's any question that he has a turnover problem for sure, but it's you can't look away from the touchdowns. I know you're tired of hearing it, but 44 touchdowns, by far the most by any quarterback in the league this year.
How many passing are those?
Huh?
How many passing do you think those are?
I think what is it? Got like 15 rushing touchdowns.
15 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. But it's Lamar has a lot of 2019. How many rushing touchdowns did he have?
But he had 35 passing touchdowns.
Okay, so I mean he's not far off of that.
So he had 10 rushing touchdowns and 35 passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Josh Allen has 29 passing touchdowns and 15 rushing touchdowns. That's a huge difference.
I mean, a touchdown's a touchdown. I mean, it's still 6 points on the board.
Yeah, but But if you look at, I don't think anybody's won, and I could be wrong, I don't think anybody's won the MVP turning the ball over as much as Josh Allen has.
No, and that's I was trying to look, and I wish I did more research on it to see that, like, to see what like who's a quarterback that's won it with a lot of turnovers. I couldn't find anything without taking up 30 minutes of actually searching through it, so I just kind of gave up on that. But I think a lot of it speaks to, like, the QB award is, yes, you have to be playing well and you have to be putting up numbers and stuff, but your team also has to be doing well. So I think a lot of that weight is coming from you look at the team that turned it around the most. They went from being 6-6 to now the number 2 seed, and the what are they, 11-6 now?
Yeah.
So for them to rip off 5 straight wins, like, you look at a team that turns it around, and whether you actually watch the game and know what's going on, it's you point to the quarterback, and he's the reason why. So, like, a lot, I guess. And I will not say that I'm saying that Josh Allen should be the MVP. I still think Lamar Jackson deserves the MVP. His team's the number 1 seed, the best record in the league. He's put up the numbers that he has. Hasn't had the turnovers that Josh Allen's had. But I'm saying that Josh Allen, because of the turnaround that his team made, has a lot of touchdowns. We're going to overlook the turnovers.
Yeah,
because,
we're just going to let that
exactly.
slide.
Like, that's just the way that people are looking at it, and that's the way that, like, I'm kind of looking at it myself. Like, so it's he led his team back to being the number 2 seed after not the people crowning the Miami Dolphins, saying that they were going to win the division no matter what. Bills were too far gone. Bills were wrote off when they were 6-6. I mean, I think I think I was still on the wagon that if they got hot, that they were going to be all right.
I don't think you've ever fallen off the wagon.
I haven't. Do I, with all the injuries that they have on their team, especially the defense, do I think that they're ready to make a Super Bowl run? I don't think so. I think they should beat the Steelers like that. I don't think that's any question. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure who they're going to play next. Because we'll get into that. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Because when we make our picks or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know if they're, with everything going on with that team and the way the defenses that they're going to play in the AFC is the thing. And it's maybe it'll prove that Josh Allen's turnovers is the reason that they can't win these big games. And they're in the playoffs, if they beat the Steelers, they should. The next 2 rounds are going to be playing pretty good defenses depending on which teams make it through. But if they end up making the AFC Championship against the Ravens are what, the first team in the NFL or the number 1 team in the NFL in turnovers.
They're historically one of the greatest defenses ever, which is another conversation that I didn't know about either. If you go look at their statistics, they were the Triple Crown winner for like the first time in a while. Turnovers, sacks, and points. So offenses averaged 16 points a game. They had the most turnovers and sacks. I mean, we'll get into that in a second. But I want to talk about your Commanders because we talked about it earlier. I wanted you to wait to give your opinion. The number 2 pick in the draft. How are you feeling? I need to know what the vibes are like. Are the vibes high? Are the vibes low? Like, are you ready for draft season? You ready for all this shit to end and just see who the quarterback is? Like, and if you end up with Caleb Williams, are you going to be pissed off? Are you going to come on here and tell like the world that they made the wrong decision, or are you going to back him until the day he dies?
If we end up drafting Caleb Williams, I'm gonna hate it, but I'm gonna back him up.
He's gonna come in with a Caleb Williams jersey the next day.
I might. No, it's and regardless, like, obviously number 2 pick is huge. Obviously, you don't want to have a season to where you get the number 2 pick, but you don't get the number 2 pick very often. Well, for us, it's
really impressive how you guys got there too.
Honestly, yeah,
because you weren't that bad.
It was some real selling on our part for sure.
It was selling,
and that's I don't know if we just started tanking like after but Sam Howell was playing pretty well in the first half of the season. So I don't know what happened.
Are you out on him too? Well, it's over.
Yeah, it's over, and it's like.
He'll be the backup, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's looking at his statistics. He almost had 4,000 passing yards, 21 touchdowns. He also had 21 interceptions. I feel like we're judging this kid unfairly because of the offensive line he was put behind and the situation he went through. But I think that ship has sailed. I think we're moving on from that. Part of me is a big part of me is excited because the day that we fired Ron Rivera yesterday.
Yeah, congrats. You know what?
Thank you.
It took a really long time, but it's finally
the Ron
done.
Rivera era is over.
Yeah.
Thank God. Great guy, like great personality, like everything like that. But not a good. I think he's lost his fastball.
Yeah, he'll be on TV next year.
He will be, and that's it. He had a solid coaching career, or whatever. Obviously, disappointing how he ended it with the Commanders, but like I think we've already requested to interview like 15 potential head coaches. Like
They were the first ones to come out and say like we're changing this shit.
Yeah,
like
and
immediately.
We hired the Warriors old GM, and he's not even like, he's just basically an advisor for Josh Harris when helping define our next GM and our next head coach. We also hired another guy who had success with another like franchise. I don't even think it was NFL. No, it was. He was with the Vikings. He was like an old Vikings GM or something like that. I'm excited about that. Like we're actually trying to like change things, and we're trying to bring in guys that know what they're doing, and just not something that we're used to as Commanders fans. Like with Dan Snyder, like he didn't seem like he cared really. Like, and this Josh Harris is coming and he's making all these exciting moves. Like it seems like he actually cares about bringing this franchise back. I think where we're gonna go with the number 2 pick is the quarterback. I've come to terms with it. I think in this draft we have enough quarterbacks that I think are going to be good in the NFL. I still am kind of a believer in you want to build the team first and then you find the quarterback. But with this type of draft, like it's so QB heavy, we have the number 2 pick. I've even seen a lot of talk of us moving up to the number 1 pick to get Caleb Williams. So the kid is a generational talent. I hate his personality.
You heard it here first. Jake loves Caleb Williams.
Did not say that. I hate his personality. I hate that he's played in the Pac-12 and is folded against good defenses. But I don't know. It seems like
Rip the Pac-12 too.
Yeah, honestly, that was last time we'll ever see the Pac-12.
Yeah, that's really sad. Not really. I mean, it was just the offensive like masterpiece.
Yeah, and I feel like they always played at like 10 o'clock at night. So like, the games ended like at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, so I never really watched a lot of Pac-12 anyways. But
the only reason I ever watched them was for Caleb Williams. That was like the only reason or Washington, but I don't think I watched a lot of Washington before this year anyway.
Yeah. So whatever. Rip Pac-12.
Rip Ron Rivera, rip Pac-12, and rip Sam Howell as the starting quarterback of the Washington Commanders. Just want to give you that shout out. I didn't think they were able to get the second pick, but apparently there was a lot of analytical things that went into that second pick. Yeah. It wasn't just the record. Apparently it was strength of schedule, division. Like there was a lot of things that went right for the Commanders. I think they're doing the right thing. I think if they get the head coach right, they're going to be really set no matter who they pick at quarterback. I think they're going to go either Bill Belichick, think they might go big there, or I don't know. If they're bringing in all these advisors and stuff, they might want to go younger and go with somebody who will actually be able to form a connection with the quarterback, which would make more sense to me than Bill Belichick maybe. But, you never know. Just wanted to give you your shout out for getting the number 2 pick. Talking about head coaches, let's talk about some of the landing spots. So for the Chargers, who do you think's going to land as the head coach for the Chargers?
I mean, I feel like they're going to definitely go offensive minded coach. But I don't know. I feel like they're one of the top 3 like attractive landing spots for a coach. Yeah. So the first name that pops in my head is like a Ben Johnson. But like we talked about earlier in the show, like I could see like a Jim Harbaugh going there, but I feel like there's a lot of factors that goes into it because like you even brought up, like he would be on the West Coast, his brother would be on the East Coast, like. So I think Ben Johnson would probably be the first guy that came into my mind. Yeah,
that's who I put too. I think Ben Johnson ends up there. The job that he's done with the Lions and with Jared Goff, I think it's going to be a great fit for him and for Justin Herbert. He's also going to cost a lot of money, and one of the things that the Chargers owner is trying to prove is that he is not broke. I think they're going to pay the house and get Ben Johnson and get an offensive coordinator because I think that Jim Harbaugh is going to go somewhere else other than the Chargers just because of that West Coast thing. I don't know if he's a great fit, or I think there's more of a chance he goes back to Michigan. For the Commanders, I already said Bill Belichick. Is there anybody that you really want to see end up as the Commanders head coach?
I'd be very happy with Jim Harbaugh as well. But I could also see, I've seen a lot of talk of we would Ben Johnson would be well, like we just talked about, a young guy that could. We're going to need to develop a quarterback. Like, I think we've already sailed on Sam Howell. I think he could benefit. Like, Sam Howell could be a solid quarterback. I don't know what his ceiling is. Watching him over this year, and I really lost interest in his team towards the end of the year, to be honest. But I don't know what his ceiling is. So I think we're bringing a young quarterback. I would like to see us bring in a young head coach to also an offensive minded head coach to develop him. Because since RG3, we haven't had a good quarterback,
Right.
And I'm ready to see like a franchise guy back in the Commanders team, and I'm hoping that someone like a Ben Johnson can have something similar to what the Houston Texans just did. Brought in a C.J. Stroud, had a good year, made it in the playoffs. Like, we don't know how well they'll do in the playoffs, but like I want to see some sort of upward turn for the offense at least. But at the same time, our defense was the worst in the league this past year, so I could see a Bill Belichick. I think that or Mike Vrabel.
Right. Yeah, Mike Vrabel might be the option. He's the best on the table. I mean, if you're bringing in all these executives, you got to take the best guy out there, and it is Mike Vrabel. The Titans, I already said Jim Harbaugh. Is there anybody in mind for them that you think would land there?
No, we talked about earlier. I think Jim Harbaugh is probably the best fit for the Titans.
Yeah, for sure. It just fits their culture and what they're about. For the Carolina Panthers, I said it was Bobby Slowick. He is the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. He has absolutely killed it this season with C.J. Stroud. And knowing the Panthers and knowing their owner, he'll dish out any kind of money to get whoever he wants. I know that he's a little bit jealous of what C.J. Stroud is doing in Houston, and he's going to want to replicate that in Carolina. So I think Bobby Slowick is absolutely going to be the Carolina Panthers head coach. And I also think that Carolina is going to go all in on their offense this season. I think you're going to see a lot of splash plays, like maybe T. Higgins. I think you're going to see that. I think they're going to go heavy offense in the draft. They are not going to admit that Bryce Young was not the guy, and I think they're going to do everything they possibly can to make him look good, even if that means sacrificing everything on defense that they have actually done well this season that a lot of people don't talk about.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with that. And I think that's probably the most beneficial thing they can do. I could see though, because I think it's inevitable that they are going to go heavy on offense and try to build that offense, that they could bring in someone like a Dan Quinn So like the best friend for a young quarterback is a good defense. Right. So to have someone like Dan Quinn come in and solidify that defense, make it a better defense, like I think that would be solid for them, because like you said, and I totally agree, that they're going to go heavy on offense this offseason. Do whatever they can to try to build around Bryce Young, and like you said, try to prove that he was not the wrong pick to take it number one. Right.
And then for Atlanta, I actually thought that they would go with Eric Bieniemy. I think Bieniemy's out. I don't think there's a doubt about it. I think they're going to start fresh. I'm surprised that he's not fired yet. I just think that most of the time when the new head coach comes in, he wants his guys anyway. It's not a slight to Eric Bieniemy. He didn't do a great job, but he wasn't surrounded with great talent. I think that the Atlanta Falcons, I think we're just going to see a bunch of offensive minds get hired this year. I think you're going to see a trend in that in the NFL, which kind of sucks because there are some good defensive coordinators like a Mike McDonald and like a Dan Quinn that might not get hired this year just because of the offensive minds that are going to come out. So I think Atlanta goes with Eric Bieniemy just to pair with a rookie quarterback in that solid offense and see what he can do.
Yeah, no, that's actually a pretty good pick there. I could definitely see it because at the beginning of this year, I feel like Eric Bieniemy was really good for Sam Howell. Yeah. It's just the team altogether fell apart. I think for my pick though, it would be like a Bobby Slowick. I think he'd be a pretty good fit there because, like we talked about pretty extensively earlier, I think they're a young, developed quarterback away from being a very solid team. So he just did that with. I don't know how much you credit that to him for what C.J. Stroud has done this year, but. Right. I think someone like that could benefit, or the Falcons could benefit from someone like that.
Exactly. And then for the Patriots, this one is actually the first defensive coach that I have go off the board. I think Dan Quinn absolutely gets this job. It is the perfect fit. Dan Quinn is a player's coach. Dallas raves about him all the time. Unless Mike McCarthy gets fired, and which I think should happen, I think that Dan Quinn should take over as the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys, but I think that Jerry Jones, if they win a couple playoff games, he's going to stick next to his guy. I like Dan Quinn as a perfect fit for the Patriots and keep the same culture. Get a little bit more modernized with Dan Quinn and have a players coach that actually can talk to the media and actually be a little bit more fun. So I think that this is the perfect fit for the New England Patriots.
I would agree with that. The only other person I could really think of is Mike Vrabel. I mean, knew today that he got fired, and I think it all depends. And I don't know much about Robert Kraft and the way he likes to handle things, but it's whether he wants to.
How he likes to handle things. He likes to go to massage parlors.
Well, that's true. That's true. But in football terms, for football purposes, I don't know if he's looking to just find like a new, younger Bill Belichick. I mean, obviously had success with him, but that's the only person I could think of is Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, that's a good pick as well. And then for the Raiders, I said they would stick with Antonio Pierce.
I hope they do.
Yeah, I really hope they do.
They really responded well to him, and I think that defense rallied around him, and I think he deserves the chance to be the head coach all year next year.
Yeah, and a lot of people say that the Raiders are broke and don't have a lot of money. He's not going to cost you a lot of money. You know, he was already the interim head coach. He doesn't have much experience, but I think the guys just love him. And I think that if they go and hire someone out of the blue, like somebody random, I think a lot of people are going to force their way out if he is not back, especially a guy like Devontae Adams. Did you see that Garrett Wilson changed his number from 17 to number 5? There's a lot of speculation that that number 17 is being held for the guy in Las Vegas. Is that a possibility? Do you think that? I don't think it happens, but
I think it's a possibility for sure. After what we just saw this past off season, and now it's Aaron Rodgers is going to be coming back, and it's going to be his revenge tour or whatever the fuck they're going to coin the term. So I think, and we just saw he complained and bitched until he got his two, like Randall Cobb I get, but like Alan Lazard, like
and they paid him 3 years, $44 million. I think.
So I think it's definitely a possibility. I don't know if it'll happen, but I could definitely see it happening.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I wanted to talk about our bets for the week. So the bets for Wild Card Weekend. Let's give our best bets. So I have 4 bets this week that are guaranteed. This is not gambling advice, but they are guaranteed to hit. These are my early leans that I absolutely love. So I love the Houston Texans at +3. They're at +2.5 right now. I think that moves to 3 with all the public that's getting on there. I will wait until it gets there, but if it doesn't, I will buy the 0.5 point. I think Houston at home getting 3. I love home dome dogs. Easiest bet of the week. I think Houston might win that game outright. And then my other one, I think the Cowboys absolutely dismantle the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers defensively have been one of the worst units in the NFL. They're calling for the defensive coordinator's head. And I know that Jordan Love has had a great year. I think it ends here. And the Cowboys are at home. They are a wagon at home. I love the Cowboys -7. They are at -7.5 on some books. If you can, buy it a 0.5 point down to 7. Then I love the Rams +3. I think they actually win that game outright. I might even sprinkle the money line there against the Lions. I think that they're maybe the only team, except for San Francisco, in the playoffs that can keep up with the Lions offense. But I also think that the Rams defense is a special unit that is full of young guys. And I think they're going to get a lot of pressure on Jared Goff. And I just don't understand how the Rams are 3-point underdogs. I think this should be a pick 'em. It just seems wrong. And then the last pick, I have the Kansas City Chiefs -4. I think with Miami's problems on defense with their injuries, especially on the edge, it's going to be hard to get to Patrick Mahomes. I understand that Kansas City has not been great offensively, but I think in the playoffs, it's hard to pick against Mahomes. Not only that, but Tua Tagovailoa proved last week that Miami Dolphins offense has not been rolling the past couple weeks, and it's projected to be, I think, 0 degrees in Kansas City. I like the under in that game too, but I have to look and see. But I'm going to go with the Chiefs -4. So Houston Texans +3, Cowboys -7, Rams +3, and Chiefs -4. So this upcoming weekend with the Wild Card Weekend, the script writers cooked this upcoming week. They absolutely dominated the board. You have Deshaun Watson going back to Houston, even though he's not playing, it's still one of the things that they're talking about with the trade. And if Joe Flacco goes in there and beats the Houston Texans, or if the Texans go in and beat Cleveland after that big trade, and then Deshaun Watson's freaking contract starts hitting next year, it's going to look really bad on the Houston Texans side. You have Tyreek Hill back to Kansas City. You have Mike McCarthy going against his old team in Green Bay. And then you have Stafford back to Detroit for their first playoff game ever. Which one are you most excited for?
Definitely Stafford going back to Detroit. I mean, it's their first home playoff game, I think, ever in Detroit history. And it's the man that was with them through the struggles for 12 years. Made his way out to LA, won a Super Bowl, and now he's coming back and could be his one last take it away from the Detroit franchise. He could go in and really spoil some people's weekend plans for sure. And that's I think they're the Sunday night game.
Yeah, they are the Sunday night.
So I'm excited. I think it'll actually be a really good game. I know a lot of people are high on Detroit. I know you're not.
No.
I'm not sure if I am either. I think that they're a solid team, but I think that their secondary is pretty sus, and Stafford's kind of been dicing it up. And this kid Puka Nacua, I think he's my favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah. I don't think he will, but I think he deserves it.
Yeah, 100%.
To break two rookie records like all time, not even just Rams, like the receiving and the receiving yards, like that is.
Who would win it over him? CJ?
Yeah.
He's been hurt, though.
Yeah.
I think that they'll give it to Puka just because of C.J. Stroud missing some games.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's Stafford going back to Detroit. I mean, it was what we were talking about like 4 weeks ago. And it just happened to – it seems a little scripted for sure, but – I just cannot believe that it ended up this way. For some reason, I love the Rams in this game. I think they do win outright, but something in the back of my head is telling me like everybody is picking the Rams this weekend, and how glorifying would it be for the Lions franchise to win their first home playoff game ever against Stafford. Could happen. I hope that's a good game, and I hope that's close. I think it's going to be high scoring for sure. So that's very exciting. So talking about this weekend, there's a lot of wild card games going on. Before we get into our playoff bracket, I wanted to pick every single game for this week, just so we don't spoil our winners in that bracket. So starting off with the Browns and Texans game, who do you have in that game?
I'm going with the Browns. I'm going with the Browns to beat the Texans, even though Texans are home.
I'm going with the Texans here. I think being at home, I also think that they're a little bit underrated just because of that Browns defense, but we got to remember that the Texans are very good at not turning the ball over. Joe Flacco has been phenomenal. One of the things I talked about with Josh Allen, turnovers. Another thing with with Joe Flacco, he has a ton of turnovers. I think he has 8 picks ever since he started with Cleveland. And also the last time that they played, CJ Stroud didn't play. I think they're going to be prepared this time and prove to the world that they're ready now and not for the future. So give me the Texans. What about the Dolphins Chiefs?
I'm going with the Chiefs. I think if it was in Miami, I might even, I don't know if I'd even lean towards the Dolphins, but the fact that they're going to be in Arrowhead, she already said they're expecting snow. It's going to be, I think they said at the start of the game like 6 degrees, and it's expected to drop damn near to like 0 degrees. I think we've talked about it, and I believe Dolphins are just not the same team when they're in a cold environment. So give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, give me the Chiefs. I think that they win this one handedly, honestly. I think that the Dolphins lost all of their confidence this past week, losing the AFC East, and they're going to have a lot of conversations in this offseason about Tua Tagovailoa. Bills, Steelers. The Bills are actually up to 10-point favorites in a playoff game.
Yeah, I'm taking, just winning straight outright, I'm taking the Bills. I think it might actually be closer than people were expecting, but it's tough to say that now that TJ Watt has also been ruled out. So, but I'm still going with the Bills.
Yeah, fuck the Steelers. Fuck them for always saying they beat the Ravens. I don't give a shit. You haven't won a playoff game since Barack Obama was fucking president. Give me the Bills. Cowboys, Packers.
Give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys by 10-plus points. Rams, Lions, Sunday Night Football. The return of Matthew Stafford to Detroit.
You know, I want to go against what I picked in the bracket, but I'm riding with it. I'm saying the Rams win that game.
Yeah, the Rams are going to win this game. I think it's going to be really close. very high scoring, but give me the Rams. And then the Monday Night Football game. We have an interesting game. The Eagles and the Buccaneers. A lot of people are riding high on Baker Mayfield. Are you going to keep the trend of Baker Mayfield winning a playoff game?
I don't think so. I don't believe in any team out of that NFC South. Great job to the Bucs coming out and winning the division, but I don't even believe in the Eagles. But I think that the Eagles are still the better team, and they're going to win that game. I think the Eagles. Yeah. I don't think they figure it out. I think they're going to lose in the second round no matter who they play. But I think they're able to beat the Bucs this week.
Yeah, I think the Eagles turn around. I think Nick Sirianni's seat's feeling a little bit high. If he wins a playoff game, you cannot fire him after the season that they had. Give me the Eagles. And for some reason in our notes you put, are the Ravens scared of the Browns or the Steelers, since we just talked about both of those teams? Can you elaborate on what you mean by scared?
I mean, Ravens got swept by the Steelers. I know the last game doesn't really count.
It literally doesn't count.
I know it doesn't. I'm just saying though. But they lost early in the season to them, and we know that division games, Ravens Steelers, are always close games.
If the Steelers and Ravens play in the playoffs, you think the Steelers have a chance of winning that game?
I think it's any given Sunday, whether they play on Sunday.
Okay,
or not.
be honest. What's the line going to be? It's going to be like 7.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't think the Steelers can beat them, but I think the Browns have a better shot at it. I think the Browns are probably, for me, the Browns are the only team that the Ravens should be scared of in the playoffs.
You want me to be 100% honest with you? If the Browns play in Baltimore and Joe Flacco comes into town, we're winning by 10 points. And the reason for that is because Joe Flacco turns the ball over a lot. I'm actually hoping, you know what? I hope that the Ravens get the Browns or the Steelers. I want one of those teams to come in so they shut the hell up about how those two are the two teams that we're scared of, that we can't beat. I just don't see it. The Browns team has had a great storyline with Joe Flacco. Congratulations and fuck him, because if he comes into Baltimore, he gets picked off at least 3 times. That's just my personal opinion.
Playoff Joe's a different beast.
Oh, here we go.
Even at 39 years old or whatever he is now.
All right, so talking about the Ravens and the playoff bracket and seeing who we think is going to play, I am going to pull up your playoff bracket for the 2023 playoffs to see who, and I actually haven't looked at this because I wanted to be surprised, and I'm already pissed off. So go ahead and elaborate here. It looks like you have the Baltimore Ravens, which is great, against the San Francisco 49ers in a rematch of the 2012 Super Bowl, and you have the 49ers winning in round 2.
I do. So, I mean, as you see here, even though I just talked about the Browns should be scared, or the Ravens should be scared of the Browns, I do have the Ravens still going to the Super Bowl, beating the Browns along the way. But I need to be proved. Joe. Maybe a little bit, but I need these Ravens to prove me wrong from the past their playoff history, and I think this is a team to do it. But until they do, and I guess I still have them going to the Super Bowl, whatever. But I think the Ravens and the 49ers are by far the 2 best teams. I think they're both on a different level than every other team in the NFL right now. But I'm a big believer in it's hard to beat the same team twice, and I know that the Ravens dominated that game, but I felt like a lot of that was caused because of the Ravens defense, but I felt like it was also just a bad day for the 49ers. So I don't know. I'm leaning to it. I still believe a lot in the 49ers. I still believe in the Ravens. But if the Ravens, I don't know. I have a feeling that the 49ers, if they were to meet the Ravens in the Super Bowl, besides, like, they have a lot of guys on that team that have the Super Bowl experience. They went there. They lost to Kansas City. Obviously, Brock Purdy wasn't the quarterback then, but I mean, Lamar hasn't made it to a Super Bowl yet. So, but I don't know. I think it's a toss up either way. But I'm just to get you riled up a little bit, I went ahead and took the 49ers. Of course you did.
Now, I should have known you were going to do that. What would it take for Joe to watch the Super Bowl with me? If they made the Super Bowl against each other?
About a 30-pack of Michelob Ultras.
What would Joe... So Joe is his brother, whoever hasn't watched. He's a huge 49ers fan. How bad would it be if they lost?
It'd be really bad. It'd be the last time... So I wasn't with him the last time that the 49ers were in the Super Bowl. But and it was when they played the Kansas City Chiefs, and they were up in that game for most of it. Once they lost the lead, we had a wooden rocking chair that did not make it to the end of that game. I was told he lifted it over top of his head and slammed it on the ground, and it broke into a million pieces.
Oh my God.
So very passionate fan, and he loves his 49ers. But yeah, it would not go well if they were to lose, especially to the Ravens, because we're surrounded by Ravens fans.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up my bracket too. I'm one of those fans too. So I've had, and I hate doing these discussions, but obviously, like me, my girlfriend, my family, we're having discussions on if they make the Super Bowl, like what are we gonna do? Because we haven't done it in 10 years. Last time we had a big party at my parents' house, had a ton of people over. Now that I'm older and more passionate about it, I don't think I can do that. I think the only people that can be in my vicinity is probably my girlfriend and my parents, because, you know, like my girlfriend was talking about, well, we should have a party, or my parents, one of them said that. And I was like, no, absolutely not. Another thing that I'm crazy about is down here in this basement. So I will not watch another Ravens game in this basement ever again. All the games that they've lost this year, I have been down here and they have been very heartbreaking. And during the Rams game, we were down at one point, and I took the TV upstairs and I watched the rest of the game, and you know what happened? The punt return for a touchdown. So that's the crazy shit that I do. And if I had a ton of people here and they see me cry because we lost, like, that's super fucking embarrassing. And here's my NFL 2023 Super Bowl bracket. There should be no surprises here. We almost had the same bracket. I think the only thing that was changed was I had Houston winning that game against Cleveland, which really doesn't make a difference for either or. I hate picking, you know, I was going through this, and I know this isn't how it's going to end. I know we're probably going to be wrong about like 3 of these, just because there's so many upsets, it feels like every year somewhere. And of course, we both picked the 1 and 2 seeds to make the NFC and the AFC championship. And I just cannot, I don't know what it is. Like, it just feels like this year, like everybody's like, oh, it's like a great matchup, so it's deep this year. But like in reality, like the 4 teams far and away are San Francisco, Dallas, Baltimore, Buffalo. I could see Kansas City making the AFC championship game though.
Yeah. That'd be the only thing that was probably the toughest game to decide between, just because of the type of games they've had. And I know the Chiefs are having an off year, but they have the experience. They have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Like, yeah,
another one that so there were 2 other situations where I think the Rams can make the Super Bowl. I almost put them into the NFC Championship game over top the 49ers. But Kyle Shanahan, for some reason, owns them. So I couldn't do it. But I could see the Rams making the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship game. For some reason, something in me is telling me that it is meant to be a Baltimore Ravens, Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl. It would go crazy. I almost picked Dallas in that NFC Championship game. I almost took the Kansas City Chiefs to somehow make the Super Bowl too, because I have weird feelings that something weird is going to happen this year. I really hope it goes the way that it's supposed to go, which is the Ravens and 49ers. If we don't get a Ravens 49ers Super Bowl, we are going to be absolutely robbed. But I also think that if the Ravens and 49ers make the Super Bowl, I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed, because I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. I think both defenses are going to come out super prepared, and I just think it might be a rerun of that, what was it, the Rams and Patriots Super Bowl that one year? Yeah. So I don't know, but the 49ers and Ravens, so Jake has the Niners, I have the Ravens. If the Ravens somehow don't win a playoff game this year, there's going to be problems on this podcast. I don't know if I can come in. We might have to get a filler for the next week, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to come in and take the reality. What happens if Baltimore doesn't win a playoff game?
I think it proves a lot of people right, to be honest.
Yeah, but what happens? Like Harbaugh, there might be a discussion about Harbaugh getting fired, right?
I think the discussion starts. Yeah. I don't know if he gets booted yet, but I don't know. I don't know where you point to, because this team has been
McDonald.
Yeah.
A lot of people have talked about John Harbaugh getting basically a promotion up to the front office and bringing Mike McDonald in as the head coach. But I mean, if Lamar underperforms, like, what do you do? because that would be
we
4
already stuck to
losses.
this guy, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a really hard discussion. Now, if they don't, so another problem is if Baltimore doesn't win this year, they're kind of in a bad spot because they got salary cap issues after this year. They have 20 plus free agents, and they also will have a low draft pick. So I don't know what happens, but if it does, I also said on Twitter that if the Steelers make the AFC Championship game, I am shaving my head bald. Not like I've done before, like, skinhead, like I'm doing bare skin, like no hair on my head. Like I will come in here with no hair on my head if somehow Mason Rudolph makes the AFC Championship game. How much of a possibility am I going to be in hell? Do you think that there's any chance that they get there?
I don't think so, but I mean, I've seen crazier shit happen before, so.
God, man, I really want to play them so we don't have to hear the fucking, we're 1-7 against them, even though Lamar is only playing half of those games. But I will end it there. Thank you for listening to the I'm Him Sports Podcast. I'm Him Podcast, whatever you want to call it, as I always say. Please subscribe. We are up to 150 subscribers. We still need Jake to eat the 100 nuggets. We forgot about that. He thought he would get past that, but it's going to happen at some point, unless you want to wait till 200 and do 200 of them bitches, but I don't think you're going to want to do that. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate all the subscribers, all the followers. Go follow us on TikTok and Instagram as well. We would love, one of our goals this year is to get to 5,000 followers on TikTok. So please, if you like our content, go follow us there on that. And we are out until next week after we see who the Baltimore Ravens are going to play in the divisional round.
All of this time in the gym, shots don't never touch the rim. Know that I'm him, got the defense overwhelmed. Do they know highlights of them? Know that I'm him. Don't believe me, check the film. Ayy, any court and any field. Ayy, yeah, I'm Hall of Fame for real. They know that I'm him. All of this time in the gym, shots don't never touch the rim. Know that I'm him, got the defense overwhelmed. Do they know highlights of them? Know that I'm him. Don't believe me, check the film. Ayy, any court and any field. Ayy, yeah, I'm Hall of Fame for real. They know that I'm him. It's Timothy. Opponents might call me Himothy, aka Mr. Go switch up your energy. I join the team and increase all the chemistry. Wait, the odds playing baseball, I make them head home. I get the football, I'm in the red zone. I'm really him and I'm making it clear, bro. Thinking I'm not RIP